like forever. And we're live. Wow. It's been a week and a half. Can you believe that?
Yeah, a week and a half. Lots has happened.
I know a lot's happened. Most of the stuff that's happened has happened to you. But, wow, that has been something.
Yeah.
I was actually surprised that you said you were going to be ready tonight. I was like, she's gonna need to take the entire week off, and I understand completely. But you're here. You're here, and I'm so excited to see you.
Well, I'm happy to be back, and I was planning to be here Monday. Like, we were going to do the show Monday, so it was like going to not even be a week since I had my surgery. But I thought, that's just the way I am. Like, good to go, right? But Monday was like, no, I just can't do it. I just can't. But I know I'll be ready Wednesday, and maybe even if I'm not, I'm just going to drag my ass here because it just seems like it's been longer than a week and a half since we've done this.
I know. It feels like it's been almost an entire month. It's like, wow. I mean, what are we doing here? I almost forgot how to live stream. So I had to come out like last night and test out a bunch of things. I kept putting test. And finally, I was just like, that first one, I was like, screw it. This is going to be my show for the night because it just so many people popped on. It was just like, wow, I can't believe this many people are here.
I know. That's awesome. So I had major surgery, and at least I can walk a little bit more normal now. And I am so bruised. I am bruised from hip to hip across my stomach, but it'll soon be a memory. And you in your new home and moving, and look at your background now.
I know, right? I just figured I would just, throw some of the tools of the trade up and, building the house out. And we're pretty much finished. There's a few things left to do, but for the most part, it's all down to, just the trim and the making things look nice. We got the foundation up today, our foundation skirting up today. And now it's just trimming out the house. I got new carpet in. I've got to install new carpet next week, and I've got new tile on order for the kitchen, bathroom, and laundry room. So, yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on, and I know my wife is getting excited, more and more excited all the time, just for the simple fact that she won't leave me the hell alone. Hey, yeah, I know you just worked your ass off for like 9 hours straight, but I want you to continue doing more stuff. But, it is what it is. I mean,
it's exciting. It's exciting, right? Yeah.
And I want to drag this out a while. I want to make this experience last, mainly because, once it's done, I won't have shit to do. And then I got to start looking for stuff. And then she's going to start looking for more stuff. Right now, it's pretty obvious what needs to be done. So there's no reason to look for more stuff. So I just kind of want to drag out the stuff that I got, and maybe I can take a break somewhere in the middle.
Oh, there'll never be nothing. You got a house now, there'll never be nothing to do.
Right. That's for sure.
The joys of it, yeah.
Well, please, if you are watching real quick, I know there's only a couple of you, but please go on over and hit that share button. See if we can get, let's see if we can get 10 people in here tonight. I would really love to see this just kind of blow up. So let's see if we can't invite people and get 10 people watching on the live stream. I'm going to go over right now and share this out, and please do the same.
Yeah, because we've got a great topic tonight. This is a topic that, and how unfortunate. We're covering a topic that is off the table for me for a while. But that doesn't mean I can't talk about it. Doesn't mean I can't talk about it. So, but this is a topic we don't see talked about often. And so I want to get into it. I totally want to get into it.
I don't think people talk about these things mainly because I don't know if it's embarrassment. I don't know if it's taboo. Maybe people think that if you talk about it, maybe you're not a classy person. I don't know. But whatever it is, we're going to talk about it because that's what we do. We talk about that tough, that difficult. What's the word I'm looking for here, Lynn? We talk about those difficult topics.
Yeah. Our topics that are hard to get started for people. Those are our favorite topics. We want to talk about those challenging topics, those things that are tough to talk about. So, are you still sharing? I shared already. Lead us in.
I'm still sharing, yeah, because I'm not. I didn't just hit the share now. I know a lot of people. If you just hit the share now, that's perfectly fine. But I always like to say something, a little bit witty, like, "Hey, we're live now. Get your ass here," something like that.
You're funny.
And I don't want to make you laugh too hard right now because I don't want to pop a stitch. This is probably the one time in my life I can actually say, I left you in stitches and get away with it because, and I guess I didn't leave you that way. Somebody else did. So are we ready to get into this?
Let's do it.
All right. So what's your number? Whether you think it's an incredibly telling indicator of a person's character and values, or you consider it about as significant as their favorite color, chances are you've been asked your number. That is the number of people with whom you've been sexually intimate with more than a few times. In fact, discussing your sexual history is an almost inevitable part of a new relationship. But is your number really normal? And how does divulging it affect the other people's opinion of you? Well, Superdrug, an online doctor website, had some of the same questions, which is why they surveyed more than 2,000 people in Europe and the United States to get more insight into the human experience of sexuality and their attitudes towards it. And tonight, we're going to talk all about just that and more. And please join us in this conversation by chatting in the chat box. You don't necessarily have to just chat with us. You can chat amongst each other as well. And please let us know what do you think? And we're going to go through a couple of questions, actually 4 main questions. And in those 4 main questions, we would really love to hear what your feedback is. So, Lynn, what's your number? Is that too personal? Is that personal?
You know what? I never actually, I wasn't even thinking about that when I was going through all the results. This was a fascinating survey. This is definitely a survey where opinions aren't far off from reality. So it was very interesting, but there were some things that were interesting and some, I didn't give you all the information. So there's a couple things that were really interesting as far as, we'll get into it, but I never counted, so I can't give you my number.
And honestly, I would be lying if I gave you a number because I really don't know.
You don't know. It's just too many.
It's too many. Or maybe it's not enough. I don't know. But no, honestly speaking, though, I just don't remember. I never really kept score. It just wasn't something that I ever thought of. So anyhow,
let's do it. What's the questions?
So this first question, who's most likely to lie about their number, men or women?
Okay, well, that's easy.
That you would think so. You would think that would be easy, but I think it's pretty even. And I see the numbers here. I see the numbers from the survey, but when you take out those 2,000 and you add the whole population, I think it's more even than you think.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. I think it's very surprising. I think men want it more than women. Men talk about it more than women, and it is very even. So yeah. So the results on that, who's more likely to inflate the numbers? At 17.5% of men and 8.2% of women. Inflate the numbers.
See, and I can understand that because, women, they have that stigma of being, a little bit loose or
a slut.
Sluts, yeah. So they have a little bit more to lose, I guess, by leaving or inflating their numbers. Now, on the flip side of that coin, though, we have the most likely to decrease those numbers. And of course, it's going to flip flop.
Yeah. Yeah. So for women, it was, of course, it was flipped. 18.6% of women will lie and say less, and men 13.7% will actually say yes. So that's not really too surprising, really. I think that, I don't think that's too surprising. Since we don't really know our numbers, you and I, it's kind of hard to lie.
Yeah, it's and honestly, I wouldn't lie if I knew the number. I wouldn't lie about it because that's just not.
Yeah,
I've got nothing to gain. I've got nothing to lose. I'm married. She's been happy with me. She might know. I don't know, but whatever. But
is that is that something that's come up though, like in relationships? Like you have that conversation, don't you? Like how many of you?
I think some people do. I don't believe all people do have that conversation. I know the conversation has never been really had that much weight with my relationship with my wife. After this show, it might become more of a thing, but no. I think that it all depends on the relationship. There's different personalities that kind of weigh into that, and with men and women, there's some men who they want to talk about. Yeah, I've only been with 3 people my entire life. 1, 2, 3 times 6. Anyway, you kind of see where I'm going with that. That gets back to that decreasing numbers thing. But at the same time, I think it all plays on what that other partner is. If a man and a woman are both lying to each other about how many people they've been with, both of them, when a man and a woman talk, it's always less. When 2 guys are talking, it's always more. When 2 women are talking, well, they're right dead on the money. They don't lie about those things to their girlfriends. It just doesn't happen.
That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, that's an easy one. That was asked.
That was easy, but kind of going into this next one, though, how do people feel about their partner's number? Men and women seem to be on the same page with this, which I thought that was kind of funny when I saw this, when you sent this to me. I really didn't think these numbers were going to be that close. I
know. How many? So how do you feel about your partner's number? Yeah. So how many becomes too promiscuous? That blew me away, that number. So the numbers, women, it's 15.2 and men 14. That's pretty even. Men are thinking like 14. You're starting to be a little slutty there, girl. And it's same. It's close. So like 14, 15 is kind of the number if you're getting to that almost crossing that line.
So, and Heather even said, yeah, I'm not sure of my number either. So I think, going back to what she just said when she's not sure of her number, how many is too many, though? I mean, think about this. When you're with a person, if you're laying in bed and you're thinking about it, if they told you a number that was close to 15 or 14, is that too many? Or is 6 too many? Or 5 too many? I mean, let us know in the chat if you think 15 seems on the money. Let us know what's your opinion. Why do you think? What do you think is too many? And going on to the next, even the next part, it says ideal number of partners in a lifetime. Now they don't take into consideration divorces or spouses who pass away or anything like that. All they're saying is 2 people who have been together or how many ideal number of partners in a lifetime, overall lifetime.
When I read this, ideal number of partners in a lifetime. So this is what each of them, men and women, think. When I read that word, I went lifetime. I went, oh my God, that's all you think I should have in my whole life? Like, that's terrible. But you started that relationship.
Yeah. Well,
Then I'm like, okay, that makes sense. But lifetime, I was like, lifetime, that's so the numbers, the ideal numbers, again, so close. Women think 7.5 is the right amount, and men think 7.6 is the right amount of partners to have had before you two start a relationship. Like, that's bang on.
I agree. I agree.
That's,
If it's, before, but it says ideal number of partners in a lifetime. I guess I read that differently. I read that as in how many total you're going to be in over the total of your life. If it's before relationship, I guess that seventh or that final one, yeah, I guess 7.6.
yeah.
But like I said, they didn't take into consideration,
But they're not going to care after them.
Right. But
That's
the
why
next
I went.
one will. But the next one will. So does that start the clock over? I got a divorce. Hey, I get 7.6 more. Is that,
Like you're thinking.
is that like Etch a Sketch? We're starting over. But
Oh my God. I'm like, okay, so the next one was the one that was more interesting to me. Too sexually conservative. Like, is there a number that people think is too sexually conservative? Men think 2.3 is too conservative, and women think 1.9. It's funny, these point things, because how are you sleeping with 0.9 of a person?
I don't know. I guess they should have just rounded to make things easy for people like you and myself who don't understand new math. I don't
Maybe
get
there's
new
no
math.
penetration involved in that one.
Yeah, that's one person and 9 blowjobs, or one person 6 blowjobs and 3 hand jobs. I don't know. You figured it out.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and then
my God.
0.3. I mean, what's the 0.3? Is that just
a French kiss?
Yeah. Hey, I got the second base.
Yeah.
Anyways,
so what do you think? What do you think? Like, for you personally?
Honestly, for me, too conservative would be like 4 or 5, because I want a person who, lady in the streets, freak in the sheets. And if you've only had 1.9 men, you don't even know how to let that freak out yet. And, life's too short to be a trainer for the next 4 or 5 years until you guys get it right. That's my 2 cents.
I totally agree. I'd be more concerned of the conservative rather than the too many.
Right. Yep. Too many, there's never, I don't honestly believe too many, there could be a too many, unless I guess too many is when you just lose
You're a baby
interest.
daddy to too many.
Well, yeah, that's yeah. If you're a baby daddy to 24 kids, which I do know someone who is like that. He is a very good friend of mine, and I have no clue how he even has a paycheck at the end of the 2 weeks. I just don't get it.
Oh my God. Holy cow.
Yeah, you would think after the first 3 or 4, snip, you just take care of that.
Exactly.
So how many partners they've actually had? This one here, I thought I wanted to call bullshit.
Yeah.
I really wanted to call bullshit, because I did not believe that women had 7 partners to men's 6.4. I don't believe it.
No.
But then again, it is a lot easier for women to go out and get a hookup than it is for men to go out and get a hookup.
True. Yeah.
For some.
I don't know. I mean, you talk to some people and they have, if you count in some long relationships in there, you're talking a few years, obviously there's less chance to have that many, and then you're single for a while, and, depending on when you've lost your virginity, and I don't know. I think that is probably We can't look at all the numbers through our own lenses.
No. And
That's
it's
low
like
too.
and it's like Heather says, she says, I think all those numbers are low. And I have to agree with her. I really do think a lot of those numbers are low. Especially that the too many. I think that's extremely low. If a person spends their first 20 years, if they say they started having sex at 18, I don't know why. I'm just going to throw that out. We know better, but I'm just going to throw that number out there. We start having sex at 18 and we decide we're not going to get married until we're maybe 35 or 40, because there's a lot of people who are starting careers and going that path first. You're telling me that in 15 to 20 years, you're only gonna have sex with 15 to 14 people? I would highly doubt that. I mean, there's some people that are gonna have sex with 14 to 15 people per year.
That's true. That's true.
I think that's an extremely low number. And if a person, maybe it's not how many, maybe that's not being too promiscuous. Maybe it's not a problem with the person that's having the sex. Maybe it's a problem with the society and how they've expressed how they feel about people having sex.
True. So would there be a number for you? Say, it's hard because you've been married for a while. Is there a number for you start and she told you, how many? Is there a number for you where you'd be like, that's just too much? No. Like, I don't think I want to touch you.
No. There isn't. No. There really isn't. It's like I said, if a woman can conduct herself, the way she feels comfortable, like I said, a lady in the streets, freak in the sheets. If she's conducting herself in a business surrounding in a professional manner, what she does when that door closes, I don't care. And if she's had sex with 20, 30, 40 people, well, that's just experience that I am going to enjoy later on. So yeah. I really can't say that there's really a too many number for me. Now, like I said, there is definitely a too few number. If it's less than 4 or 5 or 6 or 7, chances are you need to get out there and play the field a little bit, because you don't even know how to play all the positions.
My thing too, like, I would be concerned about too few. Like, it probably around the same number as you. I'd be like, what? Like, no, I don't think this is going to work. Yeah, I agree. I'm the same way with that. But, I think it's different. Again, there's that, way better than numbers, right? There's no societal, I can't think of the word. It's not bad. It's not bad for a guy. For a woman, there is that.
That's thing. Not true, though. I don't think that's true. It's not bad for a guy in the eyes. It's perceived. It's not bad for a guy in the eyes of other guys necessarily. Yeah. And that's really what you get. You get the good old boy backslapping, blah, blah, blah. But when it comes to women and when it comes to being around them, you ask 100 women, what they think of Wilt Chamberlain, and I guarantee you they're going to be like, no way. That guy has been with so many people that, no, they wouldn't touch that again. But at the same time, it's very interesting. It's different. It's a two-edged sword. It really is. I mean, but then you can almost guarantee that any guy who's got any sort of confidence that just can walk into a room and own a room, you can pretty much guarantee he's probably been with more than 15 people. I would bet my year's wages on that. But at the same time, you watch a guy who's got very little social skills And I guarantee you he's going to be at that maybe 1.9 to 2.3. It's not because they don't, I mean, that's why I don't really like a lot of these numbers, is because they're talking to 2,000 people when what they should have done is they should have grouped people, and then they should have taken individual polls through these groups and then shown where they were at. Because go ahead.
I think it's interesting too if you bring in, because there's if you bring in, we don't know the religious background of some of these people too, because a lot of it is, save yourself for marriage. Like I would never, I can say that I think that in talking to you, that's totally different, but you sort of that, virgin, right? I guess it's that conquering thing, but not you, because that would really be too few. But, I wouldn't either. So, we don't know the religious background of some of these people either, and how much that's playing into it. Because what do you say? Married and then it's terrible and you're stuck with that.
Yeah, and why set yourself up for that first night disappointment? I mean, if you really, because I remember my first time, and it was absolutely horrible. It was embarrassing. It was just the most awkward experience of my life. And
yeah, but if you're both virgins, it's okay because you don't know what to expect.
That's the problem. There's never going to be a moment where two virgins. That doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah, that was me.
Because, well, yeah, but then you're talking about 5 or 10 years ago versus today. So
5 or 10 years ago. My son is 16.
Okay, so it was at least 16 years ago or 17 years ago.
It's a long time, like 30 years ago, over 30 years ago. We both were. So, I mean, I thought it was the greatest freaking night of my life, but we didn't know what the hell to expect. Yeah, but see, there's an example. He lied. He told me he wasn't. He told me afterwards he was.
Yeah, see. A funny story. The woman who I lost my virginity to, her and I were on two different paths. She assumed I was more experienced than I was, and I had assumed that she was more experienced than she was. She was a year older than I was, so she and she always read romance novels, and she was always talking about different things with her friends and stuff like that. And then she would see how embarrassed she could get me by making some kind of comment or whatever. And it never really embarrassed me, but it just led me to believe that she had this experience already. And come to find out, and we really didn't find out until a long time after. I'm talking like 22 years later, we found out that neither one of us knew a damn thing. We were just kind of playing it by ear. And so that was always kind of fun. That was kind of a funny story. But
oh my God, that's funny.
And like I said, it was absolutely miserable because it's like, God, I hope I'm doing this right, because I'm thinking she's experienced. Like, how do I stack up? What am I doing? Am I doing this right? Hell, I had, and the only thing I had to, look at, it's not like today where we had the internet, we could watch porn. It's like, oh yeah, I can do that. No, you have pictures in magazines, and you look at a picture and it's a still photo. It's like, okay, what do I just hold this pose for a while?
Yeah.
What am I doing?
I know, you think back and you think, wow, like I've come a long way.
Yeah. If my today self could tell my 18, 14, 13-year-old self something, it'd be like, dude, just let it roll.
Yeah.
Don't worry. Don't get so damn stressed.
I know, right?
And that first one, just chalk it up, just throw it away. It don't matter. Just go to the next one.
That's right.
That first one was horrible. It's going to be horrible anyway.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
So, the most liberal country out of the survey, with the people that they surveyed, the most liberal country is France.
And I think France has been that way they kind of started the whole sexual revolution.
Yeah, for them, the Too promiscuous, that number gets to 16. And the ideal number is 10, and the too conservative is 2 people. So they're a little bit higher. They're the most liberal. And the second is Belgium, and the third is Portugal. So they're the most liberal.
Yeah, and I would, it's funny thing about the whole, excuse me, about all that kind of stuff. The first porno movie was made in 1896 in France. So
I know us French people.
Yeah, you French. I mean,
yes.
Whoa, yeah. I mean, come on, you guys got to have all the cool stuff, first and all the cool stuff. So, but it just, I think everybody kind of felt that way. Would know that France is like that. I mean, even the guys that were coming back during World War I, guys coming back from World War II, that's a lot of the stuff that they brought back to the United States, a lot when it comes to sex, they took from France. I mean, it wasn't hanging out in Great Britain. I mean, hell, they threw us out because we were too loose with our morals. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, well, the south of France and the topless women, and very liberal over there. So I wasn't surprised when that was a number at all.
No.
At all. Okay, we've only done 2 questions. Let's get on.
Well, we're only halfway through the show.
I know.
So Perfect. 2 questions in 30 minutes. We're on time for once.
We're doing good.
So the third question is, when do people believe is the best time to share their sexual history with a new partner? First month, I was shocked that this was this low. Really thought that numbers would be higher. I figured most people share their sexual partners within the first couple of weeks.
Well, it could be. I mean, they could be doing it, but within the first month, right? So women, 31.2%, and men was 33.8%. But the most popular was 1 to 4 months.
Yeah, within the first 4 months. But that's still only 36.3% for women and 35.3% for men.
Yeah.
That just seemed very low. And if they're going to share, like I said, I would figure that first month you would have seen numbers more like 70% or closer to 80%. And then within the first month being lower, being that, 20 to 30, 40%, 20 to 30%. Now, the not important to ever share, I thought that was kind of low too.
I actually thought it would have been lower. So women 10.9% and men 11.3%. That sort of surprises me because I think, especially nowadays, where there's so many sexually transmitted diseases, and the thought of premarital sex is, I mean, there isn't even a thought about it. I mean, it just happens. I mean, a lot of people never ever get married and just live with somebody and that is their relationships, and may not get married or just have one marriage. So I think with so many divorces and things like that, and you've got companies that, like that Morgan's, that company that's set up that you can find somebody, for married people that want to cheat. That big,
Never
huge
heard of
company.
it.
Yeah, I can't. Ashley Madison, that's the name of that company.
Okay.
And married people who want to hook up with other married people. So I'm surprised that, it isn't sooner, because I think people do get intimate sooner in relationships. And so, I would think that it was much higher, like you said, like 75% or something, because I think you do get intimate these things. You would want to know, you'd be interested to know, like, where's your dick been? Like, you want to know.
And this survey was taken across Europe and United States.
Yeah.
So, in how many European countries did they actually talk to? Was it just Great Britain, France, Belgium, Holland, or was it like a larger sample?
It was quite large.
It was only 2,000 people. So
yeah,
when you look at that, I mean, if you break down each country, you may see that shift in the bigger numbers. So like this one here, where it says not important to share, I figured for men it would be higher. I thought maybe not the numbers. I thought the gap would have been further apart.
Yeah.
So maybe like 3 or 4% women were, maybe men were like 20 or 13%, somewhere in there. I could see that. But this there's not much gap. It's almost dead even.
It is. Yeah, I'm surprised because I would definitely think that bigger, much lower for women for sure. So here's something really interesting that I didn't share with you, numbers. And this is by state. So we're just looking at the US. So the average number of partners by state. I was shocked which state had the biggest average. Like, what would you think? Like, what state do you think would have?
Well, I would say it's probably one of the cold states, like maybe Minnesota, Wisconsin, or Michigan, to be honest with you, just because, people get cold in the winter. There's not anything better to do. So they just shack up. So that would be my guess. Somewhere in the Midwest there. And
so not. No.
No?
No.
Wow.
Louisiana, 15.7 is the average amount.
I get that. It's just really, really super easy to, you're not around a whole lot of people. Louisiana is pretty spread. I know where you think I'm going. I'm not going there. That's Arkansas. But no, Louisiana, I get it because, it's swamps all over the place and you got to stay dry. What better way to get dry than to have it just happens.
And then the next states, Oklahoma, Nebraska, and South Carolina.
See, now we're starting to move north. Yeah. Then South Carolina, and I get South Carolina just because there's a couple of military installations there, and the military does what the military does, and we do our thing. But Oklahoma and Nebraska, 2 more military states. You got Offutt Air Force Base, and you got Fort Sill, Oklahoma. I see a trend happening here.
Okay. See, I don't know the states, right? So you would know them more, but I was shocked when I was like, Louisiana. I would have thought like New York or California, right? Like, as I just have that image of that lifestyle in my head. So do you want to guess the state that had the lowest average of partners?
Oh, geez. I'd probably say Alaska just because they're so far apart.
No. And this doesn't surprise me at all. It's Utah.
Oh, yeah. Mormon state. Gotcha.
2.6.
Wow.
2.6. And because their religion is, Heather knew, because their thing is you wait until marriage, right? So, but the average with all the rest of the states then is pretty average what we've been talking about, 7.2. Average number of partners.
That's pretty amazing. South Dakota, I figured South Dakota would have been upwards of 9, 10, just because there's nothing to do here.
And you got the motorcycle rally and wet t-shirt contests.
Exactly. There's nothing to do, so you find someone to do. That's kind of how things work in South Dakota.
Can't be with the one you love the one you're with.
There you go.
So anyway. 7 out of 10 Americans believe that unmarried sex is morally acceptable. That doesn't surprise me at all. I think that's the way of life now.
It is. Well, I don't know of anybody who hasn't had sex before they're married. To be honest with you, I don't know a single person.
Me neither. Well, I don't know that I don't know, but.
Right. It's not like I go around asking, hey, did you have sex before you got married?
Exactly.
Alrighty then. Yes. Thanks.
Exactly.
answer. Oh, by the way, this is going to be on some live stream show tomorrow night.
Sign this release, please.
Yeah. Yeah. So, do you have any more fun facts that you didn't share?
Nope. That's it.
All right. So, would you break up with a partner due to having too many partners? Wow, really?
This was
Too many
interesting.
partners. Yeah, that's. I'm looking at these numbers, and I looked at them briefly before the show, and now that I'm really looking at them, I think I would have fallen in the neutral category. I would not break up with someone, not even somewhat think about breaking up with someone for too many partners. I'd probably stay neutral.
Not very unlikely. You just said you
Never.
wouldn't. You just said there was no number.
No. Well, there is no number. That's just it. I mean, the reason why I'd stay neutral is because I don't want to commit one way or the other. No, it doesn't really matter. I mean, if the only way it's going to matter is if you bring it up. Well, if you never bring it up, if the number isn't an issue for you, then why would you ever bring it up?
Yeah, exactly. So breaking up due to having too many partners. I mean, very unlikely, 9%, all the way up to very unlikely of breaking up, 17%. And the most popular being neutral, 33%.
I think here's the reason why I would stay neutral. Because if they've had like 20, 30 partners and the sex is still really bad, then yeah, they've had too many. The sex is bad. No. But yeah. Come on. I mean, you got to think about it like that. I mean, I guess that's not really about the number. That's just about the person and the performance.
Yeah, we're not taking performance into consideration. It's strictly partners here, buddy.
Okay.
So for me, it would be very unlikely would be my response. Very unlikely. There's not too many. I'm like you. There's not too many.
What do you mean? There's not too many unless it's really bad.
That's a whole different topic. But
yeah, that is a very different topic. So would you break up with the partner? Would you break up with the partner having too few?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, you'd have to prove it. Like maybe you're just like innately extremely talented, and then that's okay.
Yeah. See that's what got me thinking about the other one. If you've had a lot and you still suck, no. Yeah, of course I'd break up with you.
Yeah.
But if you've only had like 2 or 3, but you are still amazing, okay, let's make it 3.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that would totally be my concern. So would you break up over too few partners? Very likely only 2%. And then very unlikely, which is the highest number, is 55%. So there's some people they don't. Well, I guess that has nothing to do with it. Performance has nothing to do with it. We're talking about numbers.
So we're just taking performance out of the equation, completely out of the equation. Performance does not count. Then I would have to say very likely. But if we're going to throw performance in there, then I would say very unlikely.
Yes. Agreed.
So
yes. Yeah. But that has always been a thing for me. I remember talking to my girlfriend saying that I wouldn't want to go out with somebody who's been with one that you're like, I don't know. I think it's that whole virile masculine thing. Like, I want to know that you've conquered.
It's, men are told at an early age, and this has been for years and years. There was a time when fathers used to hand their sons $50. Here you go. Go sow your royal oats. Get it out of your system, because when you're married, and that's the way it goes.
Yeah.
So fathers used to, say, hey, get out there, go get your willy wet.
Yeah.
Whatever you got to do. But
Yeah.
that stopped. Apparently before I became of age to get that to happen. But whatever. But
dads don't do that to their daughters.
No. But that's exactly it. Dads don't do that to their daughters. And I'm that dad. I am that dad. When it comes to my daughter, I'm very protective. And I have told my daughter's boyfriends, whatever you do to my daughter, I am going to do to you.
Oh, I don't know if you want to do that.
Well, it's kept most of them at bay. Not all of them, unfortunately. Sometimes you get your bluff called, and that's just the way it goes.
Yeah, very interesting. This was very, very interesting. The opinions, and the higher the numbers, the more liberal, the more STDs. And I actually didn't add that into the picture. I mean, there were a couple other things, but for sake of time and everything. But it did show the more liberal countries were, the higher rates of STDs. And actually the rate of gonorrhea and chlamydia and something else were actually much higher in Europe than in the United States, which reflects their more liberal, or they
absolutely
don't talk about it. They just do it. But hey, what's really interesting? I wanted to bring this up too, is that the most conservative country, which I can't remember the name of it, which is the one that we had talked about before, that has the Fellatio Cafe, and they're really into polyamory and polygamy.
Iceland?
Was that Iceland that has that article that we were talking about? And maybe it wasn't Iceland, Netherlands, and I was like, whoa, they're the most conservative, but they're the ones that tend to sleep around more. I don't understand. It was weird, but.
Oh, no, Norway. Norway had the polyamory and all that kind of, the fellatio cafe, stuff like that. Iceland had the most orgasms. That's what it was.
Oh, that's what it was, yeah. Those odd little countries. Hey, see, the cold countries, right?
It's the cold countries. Yeah, we don't, nothing better to do than to keep each other warm. Exactly. Well, clothes just blocks body heat, so you take them off. What happens when you take them off? Well, you gotta warm up the core temperature somehow.
Yes, the most fun you could have laying down.
Create
standing
up. That's right.
That's
right. Anyways, we are coming up right to the very end, and since we have gone over almost every week, let's give Bobby a break. And over there at Mile High Radio. Hey, if you like to listen to what we have going on, if you can't get to the show and watch the show, why not listen? Monday nights, was it 9 Mountain? Just go to milehighradio.com and download the app. It's really easy. The app is just one click, just accept it, and it's right there. I sit there and I listen to it almost all day just because it's got a lot of really cool programs. Mm-hmm. But you can also catch us on Stitcher. Tune in. Apple, they call it Apple Podcast now.
I know they call it Apple Podcast now instead of iTunes. Some people still call it iTunes, but yeah, Apple Podcast, Stitcher, Google Play. What else? Where else? Lots of places. If you go to our website, it has them all listed there. You can take your pick, gritandgracetv.com. And you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, so you'll always be notified every time we upload these to YouTube, and you'll be notified, and you don't actually have to watch it. You could just have it on and listen while you're folding laundry or, doing whatever.
Having sex.
I don't know if you want to listen to us while you're having
That might be a little weird, having my voice or your voice in their heads. That's kind of whatever.
It's like having your dog watching you or your cat or something. I hate that. This is a
Hey,
word.
I know. It's like, oh, whoa. It means you get that surprise face. That is an O face that you do not need to make. It's just the way it is. Anyways, hey, folks, it's been a lot of fun hanging out with you today. I appreciate each and every one of you who checked this out. Thank you very much, Heather, for watching.
Yes,
And
Heather
thank
rocks.
you, Jay. Thank you, Jay, for chiming in as well. Jay is Heather's husband. They live here in Rapid City, and
Awesome.
the fact that they're sitting here watching together. Hey, have this conversation with each other. All that kind of good stuff.
That would be
and
awesome.
Chandra, wow, thank you, Chandra, for tuning in. That was awesome. That would be extremely awkward. And folks, I don't care what he says to you. He's freaking lying. He is not allergic to latex. So don't be silly. Wrap that welly. Till next time, everybody. You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect solution.
Peace. Stay wild, everybody. Good times.